In the last analysis, mind triumphs over matter, and the will to win is more critical than the skill to win. A fancy way of saying mind over matter, right? When I was about 16 years old, that saying was presented to me, and actually was presented by my brother. But he presented it, he probably doesn't even know this, but I was so impressed with that saying that I took it to a friend of mine, and I'll age myself here a little bit. I took it to a friend of mine, and she used her calligraphy pen, and she wrote it all out really nice, and I framed it. And I hung it up on my wall. And I had that for several years. You know, I didn't have a computer that I could go to, the right typeset and just print it out, which seems kind of goofy. But so I framed that and I put it up on the wall, and I really didn't get it. I mean, it was a cool saying, but I didn't really understand it. And then I finally picked up that it was really just a cool way of saying mind over matter. And as I got older and I started to understand that really that's truly what we're talking about, and that's really what today is about. It's about understanding that we decide all the time how we're going to react to things. In this talk, it's all about attitude. It's about you deciding every day, all day, how things are going to affect you. And in life, we have proactors and reactors. If you're a proactor, you're deciding already how things are going to affect you that happen to you today. That's where we want to be. But if you're a reactor, you have a list of excuses or reasons why you react the way that you do to certain things. And when those things happen, you have a bunch of reasons that you give to try to justify the fact that you didn't react maybe the way that you should have. And when we talk about reactors and the reason that they have this list, they use this term called determinism. They think that their fate or their reactions are determined by something outside of their control. And the first type of determinism is called genetic determinism. Or I got it from my grandparents. It's in my heritage. I can't help it. I was born this way. You might say, well, I'm German. I was born with a German grandparent, so I'm really stubborn and I have a bad temper. Now, there are 5 really primary things that you want to think about, are the 5 primary things that you have to have a positive mental attitude, to attain it and maintain it. And we're going to spend all our time today talking about the first one, because it's probably the most important one, and it's self-esteem. Okay? When we talk about self-esteem, we talk about how we feel about ourselves. All right, guy that was going to tackle me, would you stand up for me? What's your name?
Todd Williams.
Todd? And what do you do?
I work at the Journal. I'm online.
You work at the Journal. Very good. Are you good at what you do?
I'd say so.
Whoa, easy, Dr. Ego. Yeah. All right, thanks, Todd. Have a seat. Think about that, though. When we're kids, and I have kids ranging from 21 to 9, and I know what you think. How can you possibly have a 21-year-old? You don't look old enough to have a 21. I know. 13, crazy, forget it. All right. So, 21 to 9, right? Now, when kids are little and they come off the soccer field and you say, son, you played a really good game. You're really good at soccer. And the kid says, I am really good at soccer, Dad. I'm really fast. What do you do? Shh, son, don't be cocky. Don't be arrogant. Don't act like that. What are you talking about? That's what we do to kids. So when Todd stands up and says, yeah, I'm good at my job, you have to be brave to talk like that, to be willing to admit to others that you are good at what you do, to admit to yourself that you're good at what you do. When we think of self-esteem, it's how we feel about ourselves, and that determines so much about what we do. It determines whether you go through a problem or grow through a problem. That's all dependent on your self-esteem. So you have to ask yourself. You think of the cartoon, one of the greatest cartoons ever made, right? Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh had a lot of characters in it that emulated people everyday life. They had the low self-esteem. Who was that? Eeyore. Oh, bother, Pooh. I don't think Piglet's gonna make it. Just down on everything. And then they had the high self-esteem. Who was that? Right? Tigger's having a good time. He's ready to party. I think he's Irish. Really. He's a positive cat. He is having great fun. And that's the way we need to get. That's the way we absolutely have to be. About 5 pages into your book, you should have some note pages in front of the presentation that I'm doing today. I want you to open to that page, take your pen. On the left-hand side of that page, I want you to number for me 1 through 15. Just use about half the page, don't use the whole page. I grew up on a little farm in Ethan, and I can remember when I got my driver's license, the day I turned 14 years old. Mom took me to the driver's license place, got my license. I mean, technically I should have probably had it when I was 10 because I was driving all over the country, like you do on a farm. Got my license when I was 14 years old. About 2 weeks later, Dad let me take the pickup to town on a Sunday. I'm coming back, and of course the pickup didn't have air conditioning because nothing did back then. And so I'm coming in, I got the window down, and I got my arm up in the window, and my fingers on the top up there, and I'm cruising in, and I come in, park it, and I come walking in the house, and my mother goes, Michael, 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 don't let me catch you driving like that again. And I'm thinking, 10 and 2, sorry, Mom. I said, I'll put both hands on the wheel. And she goes, no, I'm talking about looking like you think you're so cool. Like, seriously, Mom, my arm wouldn't have been out the window if I'd have been cool. It's like 112 degrees. Have you been outside? But that's kind of what happens. And there are things that happen to us during our life that affect our self-esteem, and it just continues on and on and on. I can remember when I was in high school, I was dating the cutest girl in school. Well, at least by my standards. She was good looking, right? And I was very excited that she was my girlfriend. It was a cool thing. One day she came to me, she said, Mike, I'm going to break up with you. And I said, well, break up with me? Why are you going to break up with me? She said, because you don't have any self-esteem. And I said, well, this isn't going to help.